Hi, my name is Albeida Sadiq. I'm a senior solutions architect at AWS. I'm part of the Telco go-to-market team. Thank you so much for being with me for the next few minutes and my partners to talk about this exciting demo that we have. This demo is about autonomous customer experience. It is about covering a customer's complaint, an issue the customers have, and then how do we handle that issue when it touches various functional domains? Could be care, could be your network, could be your billing. And how do you do that without having too many humans involvement and handled through AI agents? That's what you're going to see. In this demo, we collaborate a few of our very important partners, ServiceNow, Ratcom, Infosys, and Aria. They all came together to build the solutions on AWS. So why do we pick this use case? Because as you know, handling a customer experience is not an easy task. It's quite complex. There are a lot of manual processes. Resolution time is quite slow, as well as any SLA breach, validation, root cause analysis takes a long time, and multiple teams are involved. Also, any billing adjustment that needs to be done needs specialized resources. It's a lot of times it's error prone, causes revenue leakage. But finally, as many systems are involved in this process, the integration is, there's lack of integrations there. And also it's very complex to bring them together, right? So that's the reason we came together to build this solution to address exactly all those challenges. What does the flow look like high level? As customer comes into the picture with a complaint, human agent gets involved, but there's multiple agents such as analysis agent, network agents, and billing agents, finally the communication agents, they all come into the picture behind the scene to address this issue. And again, the idea is to not to have human involved and keep their involvement as minimum as possible. And I would not go into much details because you will see these into demo and action. What is the high-level architecture for this? Of course, the data will play a big role. A lot of the data is coming from ServiceNow. Their billing, their case data, account information, work orders data. The network data is coming from Ratcom. There's billing data from Aria. Now, we took some of those data, our partners worked on it, built the AI models that need using Amazon SageMaker AI platform so that we can run those inferences against it. But some of those agents are also deployed in Agents Core runtime because it's easy to create agents in a POC environment, but when you deploy them in a scalable manner, you need to have a robust runtime. You need to have them secured. Observability plays a big role, as well as explainability, right? And Agent Core runtime gives you all those capabilities. But finally, as the agents talk to each other, you need to use protocols like A2A or MCP. That's where the Agent Core Gateway comes into play. So all those infrastructures, including Bedrock, which gives you that choice of LLM, played a fundamental role to picking this technology as the partners kind of went ahead and implement this. So this is where I'm going to take you to the demo, live demo for a bit, and then we'll come back to this deck. So as I mentioned, that this is the way the story starts is that I'm a customer. I have a problem with my mobile phone. Maybe my signal quality is not good, or maybe my voice quality is not good. I'm having some network issues, right? So I reached out to this operator who gave me this phone and service, and I'm raising a complaint or issue with them. In this particular case, we have used Amazon Connect as the kind of my way of communicating with this customer. Amazon Connect is AWS services to provide cloud-based contact center capabilities. It has the capabilities to get data from multiple places, but as well as it can provide the sentiment of the customers, which could be presented to a human agent. So first thing I wanted to mention that, for myself, I'm having issue with my mobile network. This is the complaint that I want to raise with this operator. First of all, I have to authenticate myself, and I put my PIN to authenticate. And is there any other issues that I'm feeling? I'm just saying, no, that's the only problem that I have at this time. So I talk about that. And chatbot recommends few other steps like, can you restart? And I said, I have already restarted my system, but I'm still having this issue. So can you still help me, right? So that's really my request. So the chatbot basically say, we got you, we understand you're frustrated, so we have created a ticket against your problem. Our specialist team will review that ticket, and we'll work on the background to solve this issue. Mr. Customer, you can hang up here and proceed your normal daily activities, but we'll keep you in the loop and we'll let you know when the things gets resolved. And that's where the chatbot interactions will finish. And at the same time, we have sent out an email to the customer acknowledging the ticket, also letting the person know that we are working on this issue, as well as we recommend that if he has any other information shared, they can use this email to share that details. So that's where communication will end. So I kind of showed you the initial interaction between customers and this operator's contact center. But I want to hand this over to ServiceNow team member John, kind of walk you through the behind the scene, how we are handling orchestrating to solve this issue.
Thank you, Albeda. My name is John Opthoff, Solution Architect at ServiceNow. But today you can call me the AI Orchestrator. And let me quickly take you through what ServiceNow does in the space of the AI orchestration. First, we'll take a quick look at what the human in the loop is going to see working in ServiceNow resolving on this case. So what we see here is the overlay, the screen where the human agent is still working in. But what we're introducing in this phase as well is how they can leverage the agentic AI use cases. So we click on this screen, and here we see the conversational interface where they can leverage the AI agentic use case. But because it's really autonomous, let's today take a deeper look in the back end of what the process would really look like. So we will go to the diagnostics mode, and we will run through all the actions that are happening autonomously. What we're seeing here is that we are at ServiceNow creating the orchestrator, which is going to create a plan based on the intent of what we're trying to resolve today. So we're understanding the case that's coming in through AWS Connect, and ServiceNow is going to ask the human in the loop if it's okay to proceed with asking Redcom to query the network. So the human will say yes, and will allow the agent to query Redcom through A2A. And with that, I would like to introduce Stephen from Redcom to tell a bit more about the Redcom solution.
Thanks, John. Hi, I'm Stephen Dillon from Redcom. So here you can see the Redcom agents beginning their tasks. The Redcom agents talk through an MCP server to our underlying data. Redcom produces many KPIs at the customer level. This is aggregated up into a very small and concise data source for agents. Behind the scenes, we are looking at customer data and crossing that with NPS data. From this, we find where customers have real issues with KPIs within the network. One agent is taking a short-term view of the network. One agent is taking a 3-month view of the network. So we're looking at, is there an issue with the customer now, or has there been an issue with the customer in the past? From this data, we determine what the issue is. We have an RCA agent then, which comes back to ServiceNow. And at this point, I'll introduce John back into the equation, who'll bring us through the ServiceNow RCA agent.
So thank you, Stephen. Back as the AI orchestrator. What ServiceNow is doing at this stage, we know that there's a proactive case being created. We really understand at this stage that there is an incident in the network. And of course, what we want to do in the space is then also start to resolve this issue. We've created an incident, we've assigned the right agent to start working on this incident, but we also want to help the agent with a resolution plan. So what we're doing within ServiceNow is we're gathering information from recent incidents, from knowledge bases across our ecosystem, whether it is in Redcom or Area or different spaces in the fast ecosystem of the telco, and we're bundling that all in the incident which we see here, which is already being created with a resolution plan. Of course, as a next step, we'd also be looking to automate the resolution of this incident as well. What we're seeing here is that we're talking to ARIA as well through A2A to get a better understanding of the value of this customer. So we might want to give them a rebate or at least take into perspective what this customer means to us. And with that, I would also like to introduce Hamish from ARIA.
Hi, this is Hamish Cummins, Senior Sales Engineer at ARIA Systems. We'll see that now that the orchestrator agent has received control back after the case has been resolved, the network issue has been diagnosed and resolved, it's instigated another AI agent, this time the ARIA billing agent, which is looking at the customer billing history, customer payment history, the consumption of the services and service usage, the lifetime value of the customer to determine whether or not we should perhaps offer a rebate to the customer for their troubles. So you'll see here within the billing dashboard is being created, presented to the human agent who's been recommended by the AI agent that we offer a 15% credit to the end customer. Now the human agent can decide whether to accept that recommendation or make a different one. In this case, we'll approve that credit, which triggers further actions on the ARIA billing side. The agent is automatically updating the ARIA billing account in order that the credit be applied to that customer's next billing cycle. We accept that, and that automatically updates ARIA, hands control back to the orchestrator agent once that's complete. I'll hand it back to Albeda to wrap up the session.
Thanks, John and Hamish and Stephen. I wanted to kind of tie it back to what is being called out in the RCA orchestration agent, where not only we are looking at one customer because this agent has view of whole customer network data, it also knows other customers that are impacted for the similar issues. And what happens behind the scene, there is a separate workflow is kicked in to handle those customers as well, because even though those customers may not haven't called yet, haven't complained yet, but there's a potential chance that those customers eventually will complain. So we want to make sure that those customers are taken care of. And that's part of the process. We have sent out a proactive email to those customers, acknowledging the fact that even though they haven't called, but there may be, they're experiencing some sort of network issues, and we are assuring them from the operator's point of view that we're looking after those issues at this time. And finally, remember the first customer that called in with the problem, we want a closed loop on the customer as well, and acknowledging the fact that we have looked at the issues, what we have done so far to solve that issue, and we think that issue is resolved. But if that's not the case, they could always call back and reply in this email thread. But as part of these inconveniences they have, the operator also provided them 15% rebate because this customer is a valuable customer, as Hamish mentioned, with a high lifetime value, right? So that's the way we're kind of closing the loop and giving this customer end-to-end autonomous experience. But also, if you think about customer's point of view, this customer did not have to call multiple times. They only called once. But he or she got the instant communication update from this operator indicating what's the progress and how we are resolving his or her problem. And finally, this customer also given a 15% rebate. So that is sort of our demo. But I just wanted to kind of tie it back to the deck quickly. How does this use case actually impact and benefit our end operators at the end? As John mentioning that we have many agents here, right? From ServiceNow is doing their orchestration part, deployed on AWS, using a lot of the Bedrocks and LLMs capabilities. But also other agents like ARIAs and RADCOMs of the world and other agents are deployed on Agent Core runtimes. And those A2A communication, MCP, we're going to use Agent Core Gateway. So these are fully leveraging the AWS strength capabilities to make the solutions live in this context, right? So what is at the end impact of this use case? If you look at it from the operator's lens, initially this use case taking days to solve this, right? But now all this automation, resolution time is cut to 40 to 50%, which is substantial improvement. But also the first call resolution, before there's multiple steps involved, everything was done in one call. But with all this automation in place, that also improved by 35%. And finally, the customer that called in or other customers that had impacted, they have faster recovery time as well as the accurate billing information. And finally, real-time communication, they got update. That improves their satisfaction with this operator, improves the NPS scores, and that ultimately improves, reduces the churn rate, which is by 3 to 4%, which is substantial for a tier 1 operator, right? So that is our use case. There is a demo that we want to showcase how we're handling with all the agents in play to solve the customer challenge. With that note, I want to thank you and giving us a few minutes of your time on this demo and this experience. Thank you again.